Hi guys, and welcome to another video, and this video is going to be the answers to last week's quiz. If you haven't seen the video for the quiz questions and you want to do the quiz before seeing the answers, I'll put it in the description of this video. Go and watch that, get your answers, and then come back and I'll obviously give you the answers to the questions. So let's dive right in. So question one was, during your daily examination of your dog, what does AIM stand for? I gave you arthritis, infections and motion, abnormalities, injuries, medical problems, abrasions, issues and mites. The answer to that is B, is abnormalities, injuries and medical problems. So when you're doing your daily check of your dog and you're checking all of these areas, etc., you're looking for abnormalities, injuries and medical problems, just seeing if there's anything that's out of the unusual. You will know your dog. You will, if you do your checks daily, you will know when something's wrong with the dog or something's different to the dog from the day before. For example, I was doing daily checks of Coop and I found a mole that had popped up. I actually thought it was a tick because we was working at night. It was in the summertime sort of, and I actually tried to, because it was dark, I thought it was a tick. I tried to remove it with sort of a tick remover. He wasn't happy about it. Turns out it was a mole. And yeah, so that's the kind of thing you're looking for. You're looking for abnormalities, injuries and medical problems for your dog whilst you're doing your daily checks. Question two was, when left in a vehicle, how often should a dog be checked on to check on their well-being? Is it every 30 minutes, hourly or every 90 minutes? Now in the book it says hourly, so at least once an hour you should go and check on, see how your dog's doing. Most of the time, if you're like me, you're in the van with the dog anyway, but if you are called into a meeting or you are called and you are in a cabin, etc., at least once an hour go and check on your dog. Look, if you go and check it every 30 minutes, it's not going to be the worst thing in the world. It says hourly in the book. It shouldn't be any longer than an hour. That's just to make sure that the dog's got water, make sure the dog hasn't caught its collar on anything in the cage. I mean, you shouldn't have anything in the cage, so that could happen. But yeah, just making sure hourly, at least hourly, that you're going and checking on the dog. If you're like me and you're in the van the whole time, I mean, you're checking on him all the time, aren't you? If something's going wrong, you'll be the first one to know about it, etc. But in the book, it is B, so hourly, you should be checking on the dog's welfare. Question 3 was, what year is the Control of Dogs Order? Was it 88, 90 or 92? The Control of Dogs Order is C, 1992. Something that you should look at. I mean, this is not just for security dog handlers, this is for the public, anyone that owns a dog. So the Control of Dogs Order is 1992. Obviously it's about the controlling of your dog, things like tags. So if someone ever says to you, can you give me an example of the Control of Dogs Order? Identity tags, so having a dog having a tag with your address and your name and a contact number on it. I think full name and address, I think, is what's on there. It's not going to harm you to put your phone number on there. So yeah, that is the Control of Dogs Order. If you own a dog or you're getting in security dog handling, get to know it to a certain degree so that if you get questions on it, you can answer them, etc. But if anyone ever asks you for an example of it, it's the ID collar on of a dog, and I think it's full address and your full name is needed. But if your phone number is underneath your name, all the better, because it will save them taking the dog to the vet. Maybe the vet will keep the dog, then you have to pay boarding fees. If it's a case of someone giving you a call and you go and picking the dog up, all the better. Question 4 was, in the phonetic alphabet, what word is used for I? Was it India, indigo or igloo? It is A, India. Now, there will be people that say it was B, indigo. It changed from indigo to India, and if I'm right, if what I've been told is right, the reason that they changed it from indigo to India is that indigo sounded too close to in you go. So I'm not saying this was the exact case, but for example, you've got firemen that are trying to communicate with each other. One of the firemen hears in you go and in he goes, but they were saying indigo. So I think just to get away from that confusion of indigo or instead of indigo. So for example, maybe the police are doing a raid and someone needs to say indigo for any problem, and someone hears indigo, someone smashes through the front door and no one else is ready for that action. So the answer to it is A, India. Used to be indigo. There was confusion between indigo and inugo, so I think they changed it to India. So yeah, phonetic alphabet is important to know. I can get through it. Some I might need to think about a little bit, but I is India. Question 5 was, you want your reports to be ABC. What is ABC? Is that accurate, brief and clear, astute, balanced and coercive, or C, assuring, blagged and confusing? If you put C, assuring, blagged and confusing, then hang your head in shame. It is A, accurate, brief and clear. So any report that you do, it needs to be accurate. So if you are describing what a person is wearing, you need to be accurate of what they're wearing. You need it to be reasonably brief so that you can get the information over quick, but as long as it's accurately brief, not brief as in a top, as in like black top or whatever, but you need it to be accurate, brief and clear. So don't mumble on your report. Don't make someone read a load of garbage so that they're bored by the time they get to something that's important. So yeah, when you do a report, you want it to be accurate, obviously, brief, so that they can get the information quickly, and also clear so that they understand what it is. Don't mumble on, don't start writing paragraphs of nonsense. Just make sure it's accurate, brief and clear. Question 6 was, when should a dog be fed? Before shift, during shift, after shift? The answer to that is C, after shift. So people will know about the twisted stomach stuff. So if a dog has got a full stomach of food, their stomach can get twisted when they're doing exercise, etc. So we always feed our dogs, or we should always feed our dogs after shift. For example, I come to work and do night work. When I get home at 6:30, 7 o'clock, whatever time it is, that's when the dogs eat, and then he goes to sleep and he sleeps off his food, etc. So that by the time I get up and he's ready to go out for a walk or do his exercise before work, he's managed to digest all the food and it's out the other end. Someone did explain it to me. I'll try and explain it to you the way in which someone explained it to me. And it was kind of like, so I've got a poo bag here. So someone explained it to me is that when the body is empty, or when the stomach is empty, it's quite hard for that to twist. So if you think about this being the throat and this being the rear end, it's quite hard for that to twist. Now if I put in, as if I haven't got anything that I could do this with right now, so if I put my phone in here, so if we just pretend that this phone, no, it's too heavy, I'll use this. So if I put something in now, and now you can see that there's obviously something in there, there's more momentum, and it's easy for that to twist as I let go of it. So it's easier for that to twist, and that's when you get the issue, when both ends get twisted and the gas can't escape either through a burp or through a fart, whatever. So you can see that once that there's something in there, with the momentum of it, it's easier that the dog can twist it. And that's why we feed our dogs at the end of a shift, so that they can sleep it off, and by the time we go and we're doing exercise, etc., the dog has managed to digest all the food and it's out. Therefore it lowers the risk of the twisted stomach stuff. Question 7 sort of run along the lines of the last question. It was true or false. During / after exercise, you should let your dog drink lots of water to cool down and stay hydrated. Now that is a false statement. So in terms of your dog doing lots of exercise and lots of activity, etc., yes, it's going to pant in order to try and cool down. That's how dogs cool down. I think it's through their pads, isn't it, that they can sweat, but they don't sweat through their bodies the same way we do. So they will use panting in order to keep themselves cool. Now, Dogs will drink lots of water if it's hot and you give them the opportunity to do that. The problem with that is that they start bloating. And look, I'm not a vet. I don't know the whole thing of it. But from what I've heard is that the issue with the bloating is that when the stomach bloats from drinking lots of water, it starts putting lots of pressure on organs, etc. And then that can cause problems, disease, that can cause comas, and it can cause death in the end. So when I'm doing lots of activity with a dog, you have to try and monitor the amount of exercise you do so it's not too much. So if it's hot, then you only do like, well, not hot, but when it's warm, you may only do 5-10 minutes. You'll notice when the dog starts to slow down a little bit, then you obviously cut it off there. In terms of when I do training, etc., I will give him some water so he can have some drink, because I still want him to stay hydrated, but it won't be enough that he will gobble it all down and he'll start bloating, etc. So yeah, it's a false statement. When the dog is hot and needs hydrating, just make sure that you monitor the dog so that he doesn't do too much exercise, but make sure that you only give him enough water for him to sort of rehydrate himself, but not to the point where he starts bloating. So normally I just give him a little bit of water and then I let him pant it out so that he cools himself down that way. Question 8. Question 8 was, which of these conditions helps the dog to pick up scent? Is it rain, sun, or cold conditions? So if we go through them, so rain will wash scent away. So if you think about it at home, if you're going to wash a stain or whatever, you may use a wet cloth, let's say, and it washes away the scent. In terms of sun, so when it's sunny and it's hot conditions, you see that the heat brings heat out of the earth and it pushes everything up to the sky. Cold conditions, so you're talking snow, frost, different things like that. Cold conditions. The way in which I think about it is that when you see fire and icicles, so this is how I see it. So when I think of fire, so in terms of rain, in terms of water, you use that to wash stuff away. In terms of fire, it pushes everything up to the sky. With icicles, it's pushing everything down. So the answer to that is C. Cold conditions gives your dogs the best chance of tracking, because the air is heavy and it pushes everything and keeps everything on the floor. So if you think about the dog when he's tracking, his nose will be on the floor and he'll be following that scent. If he's got cold air, like icicles, if he's got cold hair that's pushing down that scent and keeping it at ground level, it's much easier for the dog to follow the scent. Now, in terms of the sun and the heat, yes, it will push it up, but then you need wind to be pushing it to dog. If it's just pushing it straight up in the air, that uses a cone effect in which the scent starts going out and there's less scent. So the answer to that is C. Cold conditions will be the condition that will help dogs to follow scent. Like I said, if you think about it in terms of fire, it pushes, or heat, it pushes everything up into the air. So that means that all of the, not all of it, but the scent will be being pushed into the atmosphere. If you think about cold conditions like icicles, it pushes everything down. And if a dog's following on a track that's on the floor, if it's got something that's pushing and keeping that scent on the floor or low, then obviously it's going to be easier for the dog to track that. So yeah, the answer to that, C. Cold conditions will help the dog track because it pushes and keeps everything down at a low level where the dog's nose is going to be. So question 9 is an important one, is what is the correct shout when a dog has lost its handler? So like I said in the question, it could be the dog has escaped out of a crate, or the handler's lost the lead and the dog is now running free. So you had loose dog, we've got a runner, and code red. The answer to that is A, is loose dog. So if you or anyone ever loses control of their dog and the dog is now without, well, no one's got hold of the lead, etc., shout loose dog. If you've got your dog out, put it in the crate as quick as you can, or get your dog behind a bit of fencing or whatever it is that you can protect yourself against the loose dog. Now, the loose dog might not necessarily go in for an attack, or it might be reasonably friendly, but if anyone ever shouts loose dog, Get your dog in a crate as quick as you can. If you can get in a car as quick as you can, or get something between you and the loose dog so that the dog can't get to you. Leave the handler to get hold of the dog. The handler is going to be the best person in order to get hold of the dog. If the dog does get hold of a person or a dog, then do what you can, but the best person that's going to be able to deal with that situation is going to be the handler. But if the handler is not around, you as a security dog handler are probably best placed, other than a better place than the public, in order to deal with that situation. So you'll have to take it on. But like I say, the moment a dog is loose, someone just shouts, "Loose dog." Everyone gets their dog, puts them in a crate as quick as they can, gets themselves safe, whether that's in a car, behind a fence, whatever it is. Like I said, if the dog gets hold of someone or another dog, and the handler isn't around, do the best to what you can do until the handler can get there, etc. But yeah, if there's ever a dog that's free from a handler, escaped from a crate, shout "Loose dog," get your dog in a crate, get yourself safe, do what you can, and like I say, just try and do the best job you can until the handler can get there. But the best person to deal with the loose dog is the handler himself. Question 10. Question 10 was, under the modern law of criminal damage, it is mostly contained in the criminal damage what? The Order 1982, the Act 1971, or the Rule 1977? The answer to that is the Act 1971. So I looked on Wikipedia and I found something. If I was you, go onto the government websites, have a look yourself, or do your own sort of investigation into it. But it said on Wikipedia, the modern law of criminal damage is mostly contained in the Criminal Damage Act 1971, which redefines and creates several offences protecting property rights. The Act provides a comprehensive structure covering merely, oh God, I hate this word, preparatory acts and most serious offences of arson and causing damage with the intent of endanger life. As such, punishments vary from fixed penalty to life imprisonment, and the court may order payment of compensation to the victim. So the Criminal Damage Act 1971 is the answer to that. Like I say, have a look into it yourself, get your own opinions on it, and obviously there's loads of places you can find it on the government websites and all sorts. But yeah, the Criminal Act 1971. So those are the answers to my 10 questions. Now, hopefully you learned something through that. I think if you are a seasoned dog handler, a few of them will be really easy. Hopefully there was a few tricky ones in there. It's quite hard as a security dog handler to know what people will and won't know. So I try and do a variety of stuff, try and make it a little bit interesting. Aim it at people that want to become a handler. Try and aim some questions at seasoned dog handlers. So hopefully there was something in there. Hopefully you learned something. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below for loads more videos. If you want to help support what I do, down in the description will be a link to my Patreon. It helps support the channel. It helps me to hopefully do bigger, better and more videos. This video will be going out just before New Year's Eve, I think. So have a safe New Year's. I will see you in 2024. And I'll see you again next time. Cheers for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. See you later. Bye.